Hey everybody, Bob Murnahan here again, and this is day 5 of 30 consecutive days of guitar tips that I'm tossing out there, and this is as much for me as it is for you guys. It's just a discipline thing, which is something that I'm trying to get back into, a daily routine for myself, and that's something that I would encourage you all to do. It'll go a long way in your improvement as a guitarist. So today I want to come at you with some tips on changing chords. Now I get a lot of people from various skill levels, so this may be a little bit too beginner for some of you, but if not, if you've been having trouble with changing your guitar chords, I hope these tips help you out. So first of all, if you haven't seen day 1, you might want to go back and check out day 1 where I talked about finger placement. And just in general, that will help you with your chords and making sure all the notes sound cleanly. And another thing about chords, if you hold a C chord, or whatever chord it might be that you're playing, on the C for instance here, I want to make sure every note sounds. And sometimes if you're doing a strum, you might have this kind of thing going on. You may not even notice it, especially if you're first starting out. So it's a good idea to always check and make sure all the notes are sounding in the chords that you're playing, and you do that just by arpeggiating through the notes one at a time like this. Now, as far as changing chords, there's a couple of things that I want you to adhere to. These are sort of like my all-purpose rules for guitar when it comes to changing chords. You want to use the least amount of motion, and you want to use this principle. It's my Karate Kid principle, if you would. It's, fingers off together, fingers on together. It's kind of my wax on, wax off thing. So in other words, you want to cultivate this habit of moving all your fingers at the same time. So there are certain things that will help you out with that. First of all, let's tackle this least amount of motion thing. One of the things you can do is you can just play a chord, like the C for instance, and then you can just take your fingers slightly off the string, but leave your fingers in the shape of the C chord. So you can't really see it on the camera here, but my fingers are now not touching the strings. If I were to strum, it would just be the open strings. And then I'm going to just put them right back down in that C chord shape. So take them off just slightly, and then just put them right back on. Off just slightly, right back on. So I can do that with all the chords. A D chord, for instance. Off, back on. And again, keeping the shape of the chord, keeping my fingers used to that movement, where I was talking about everything moves at the same time. So off together, on together, off together, on together. You don't even have to strum. You can just practice doing it like this, where you're moving your fingers. Now, let's apply that principle, moving from the C to the D chord, for instance. So there's something that I want to point out here. So when I'm going from the C to the D, I want you to notice the second and third fingers. Now, on the C chord, they're on the 4th and 5th string. On the D chord, they're on the 1st and 2nd string. But they're in the same relative shape to one another, right? Nothing changes except for the strings that they're on. So try to use that principle when you move. And now notice, as I'm moving, notice how my index finger is already starting up and ready to go into place as well. So I'm moving everything at the same time here. Fingers off together, fingers on together. Fingers off together, fingers on together. And again, if you have to form the chord in the air before you put your fingers down, that's fine. It's really important, this idea of fingers off together, fingers on together, especially as tempos get faster and you have to be able to switch chords quickly. And another thing I want to point out, notice when I'm switching to that D chord, my index finger doesn't come flying way out here like this. I see that a lot, people playing guitar. The fingers fly way out here like this, and then you got all that extra motion where you have to bring them back in. And so while I'm changing and moving at the same time, not only am I concentrating on that, but I'm also concentrating on my fingers being close to the guitar. Remember, least amount of motion. So least amount of motion, fingers off together, fingers on together. Now the same thing happens if I go from a C to a G chord. Notice again, here's my second and third fingers. And here they are in the G chord. So again, they're just moving over. They move from the 4th and 5th string over to the 5th and 6th string. So there's that move. Fingers off together, fingers on together. Now sometimes you get a finger that's the same, either on the same string or in the same fret on 2 chords. For instance, if I go from C to a bar chord F, now notice there what happened. My 3rd finger stays on the 5th string, 3rd fret. So I don't even take it off the guitar. I leave it there the whole time and then move everything else around it. Same thing coming back from the F to the C. Here's another example of that, but this one covers some distance. Let's say I'm going from an E to a C sharp minor. It's a common chord progression in the key of E. Now again, look, my 3rd finger is now on the 4th string in the 2nd fret on the E chord, and it ends up on the 6th fret, but it's still in the same string as I go to the C sharp minor. So I never take it off the string. I'm not applying pressure at this point, because if I did, you'd hear that gliss, right? So I am releasing the pressure. Now my finger is gliding along the surface of the string, and it's guiding me to the next chord. Same thing in reverse. Now notice when I get to the destination, the remaining fingers are going into place at the same time. So again, we have our least amount of motion, fingers off together, fingers on together. Alright, so obviously I didn't cover every possible chord combination and everything that can happen when you're doing chords. These are just a few tips that will help you if you're struggling. Very important. And just to recap again, remember the 2 most important things, in my opinion: least amount of motion, and this whole idea of fingers off together, fingers on together. So really work to cultivate that, and you'll find that your chord changes become a lot smoother, and you'll be able to do them faster, and as you start playing songs that have a swifter tempo, you'll be able to hang and it won't be a problem. Alright, there you go. I will see you tomorrow with day number 6. In the meantime, grab your guitar and do some practicing. I'll see you then.